Welcome to Medicated Housewife DIY. In today's DIY video, wow, Dollar Tree winter DIYs, winter decor DIYs that anyone can make on a budget. If you're wondering what to make after Christmas, well, we've got you. 6 sensational Dollar Tree winter DIYs that will wow everyone, but so simple and easy to make. Anyone can do it. Gorgeous winter home decor using mostly Dollar Tree supplies. Awesome ideas for decorating your home post-Christmas. A little rustic, a little neutral, and all around beautiful. You don't want to miss these DIYs. So stick around and let's go make some stuff and jump right into this. To begin with, I'm using this Folk Art Home Decor antique wax, which I'll link for you in the description box below, along with all the other non-Dollar Tree supplies used. And we're also using these bamboo rings from Dollar Tree that come in packs of 2. I'm going to paint the bamboo ring all over using the antique wax, applying a generous amount of the wax and using a baby wipe to rub off the excess wax and to help spread out that color. You can add as many coats of wax as you like to make the color as deep or rich as you prefer. I have these 3 bottle tops from my recycling bin, and at first I primed them inside with some Folk Art white chalk paint and then tried painting them with this Folk Art Treasure Gold metallic paint. However, they didn't take the paint very well, even after priming with the chalk paint. So I ended up spray painting them gold with some Rust-Oleum metallic paint and primer in the color Pure Gold, which I will link for you below. Once the spray paint dried, and I only painted the insides and the bottoms because we are covering up the outside with this jute twine, which you can get at Dollar Tree, but sometimes it saves money to buy the jute in bulk on Amazon, so I will drop a link for some for you below. Starting from the bottom of the bottle cap and moving toward the top, we're going to wrap the twine around the bottle cap tightly so we can't see any of that cap underneath it. And you can use hot glue, dabbing it after every wrap around to secure that jute in place until we reach the top of the cap. And you're going to want to stop there because we don't want to cover the inside of the cap. With all 3 caps covered in jute, I'm going to attach them to the side of the bamboo ring using some hot glue and spacing the 3 caps out evenly onto the ring. After that initial gluing, though, I'm going to turn the ring over and really load on the hot glue to firmly secure those caps in place so that there will be no wobbling. I have this vast assortment of assorted sized pine cones, some of which have been bleached to a nice light brown and some just naturally dark. I picked out some of my favorites, and you can buy these mini sized pine cones at Dollar Tree too, or just go outside and pick them up off the ground. What we want to do is to attach the pine cones with our hot glue around the whole bamboo ring. We're going to put some on the inside and some on the outside, turning that ring around while you glue to try and keep everything even. You also want to make sure that the ring will still lay flat and that no pine cone is making it lopsided or anything like that. And then after the ring is mostly covered, I do take some tiny pine cones that I can find and I fill in any of the tiny gaps that are visible so that we can't really see any of the bamboo that's underneath. Now, I think this pine cone ring looks great just the way it is, but just to see how it looks with some color added to it, I did wrap some of my favorite leafy jute, which I love and use all the time. I will link it for you below. I just loosely wrapped it around the ring just to add some green to all of that brown. Lastly, I have these 3 utility taper candles that are shorter than most taper candles, but it is a small ring and I felt that the tall candles were just too tall for it. So I secure these shorter tapers to the inside of the bottle caps with a dab of hot glue. And this is DIY number 1, this gorgeous pine cone candle wreath, which, by the way, if you were to add a 4th bottle top and candle to it, it would be a stunning Advent wreath for your holiday table. But I love this just as a pine cone table centerpiece, both with the leafy jute and without it. So rustic and just plain beautiful. For DIY number 2, I have this reindeer head from a Dollar Tree Christmas ornament, but it's covered with glitter. So I painted the entire thing with ModPodge, also from Dollar Tree, so that I could then paint over the reindeer head and get rid of that glitter entirely. We're going to use this 5x7 frame from Dollar Tree and a piece of burlap, which I got at Amazon, and I'll link it for you below. But if you are lucky, you can find some burlap at your Dollar Tree, but not mine. I also have this piece of plain brown craft paper from my stash, and I'm using one of those wood slices, also from Dollar Tree. I'm going to open the frame, remove the glass, and throw out that paper image that comes with it. So first I'm going to cover that glass with the piece of craft paper. And to do this, I'm just folding the paper over and securing it with hot glue, but you could also use tape and just wrap it just like you would wrap a present. Next, we're going to wrap that burlap right over the craft paper, and I wanted to use the craft paper underneath the burlap because the burlap can be a little see-through, and this way the burlap color is going to be pretty solid throughout. So we wrap the burlap again like wrapping a present using hot glue to secure it in place, and you can trim the folded over edges if it gets too bulky, because we do still need to fit that burlap covered glass back into the frame, so you don't want it to be so bulky that it doesn't fit anymore. Meanwhile, off camera, once my reindeer covered in ModPodge had dried, I gave him a base coat of folk art white chalk paint and a coat of folk art acrylic paint in the color Butter Pecan that you're seeing here. And I did end up giving the reindeer 2 full coats of paint and then letting that fully dry. Next, I had 5 of these wood snowflakes that I got on Amazon, and I will link them below, but Dollar Tree does carry similar snowflakes. I'm using Delta acrylic paint in the color Antique White mixed with some plain water just to thin it out, and I gave all the snowflakes 2 full coats of that thinned out Antique White. I took the wood slice from Dollar Tree and using some antique wax thinned out with some plain water, I took a small brush and made some darker circles in the wood slice, just trying to emphasize the, I don't know, the slice part of it, I guess, you know, to give it some more wood character. I also used the wax on the edge of that wood slice and along the sides to deepen their color. Now, we're only going to be using one side of the slice, but I did do both sides because then I figured I could just choose the best looking side to use. Once the reindeer had dried, I used more of the antique wax, this time without any water added, and a dry brush. I just kind of loaded on the wax and used a dry paper towel to rub off the excess wax, trying to get a nice distressed but dark finish. And when doing this, you want to work in layers. So you're just deepening the color by doing additional coats of wax and then wiping with the paper towel over and over until you get the color depth that you're looking for. And you can make him as light or as dark as you like. I wanted him to be a little bit of a deeper brown, so I ended up doing multiple coats of wax. We're using hot glue to attach the reindeer head to our wood slice, and you want to glue him right in the middle of the slice. And I didn't like the way the gap between the wood and the reindeer looked after I used the glue, so I used more hot glue and wrapped a piece of jute around that opening in the gap between the wood and the reindeer, and that totally solved the problem. I took the mounted reindeer and glued him to the bottom middle of the framed burlap, and you need to use enough glue that he will be securely attached. Lastly, I assembled my 5 snowflakes around the upper part of the frame and used some hot glue to attach them. And off camera, I ended up gluing a piece of jute along the edge of the burlap between the burlap and the frame. And this is DIY number 2, my reindeer wall decor. Now, you could hang him on a wall or stand him upright, but you guys, I love him. I truly, truly do. He just might be my favorite. Maybe. Just maybe. Just so rustic and natural and very, very winter. DIY number 3 is Pinterest inspired, but with a little wintry twist. You can use regular brown cardboard for this, which might be better, but all I had at the moment was foam board, and that works just fine too. You also need some kind of cardboard tube, preferably one that is stronger than paper towel or toilet paper rolls, like the one you get from a foil wrap or something like that. You need 2 pieces of the 10-inch by 2-inch cardboard and 1 piece of 6-inch by 2-inch cardboard, and then a 3-inch long piece of the tube. You can use a ruler and an X-Acto or utility knife to cut your 3 pieces of cardboard and 1 piece of cardboard tube, as you see that I have done here. We are going to be building a triangle shape with our 3 pieces of cardboard. I'm using masking tape from Dollar Tree to attach the 3 pieces together, but we're not closing the triangle yet. We're still leaving it open just with all 3 pieces taped together. And you want to be sure that the taped joints that join 2 pieces together are loose enough that they can bend into the proper angle to make that triangle. They can't be too tightly taped together or they may not bend the right way, and hopefully that makes sense to you. We're going to be wrapping all 3 pieces of cardboard with jute, and we're using hot glue to attach it. We're placing the jute very tightly together so that as little of the cardboard background as is possible can be seen underneath it. That's why using a brown cardboard box would probably be easier to use than foam board, because the brown color kind of camouflages any gaps in the jute, but that's okay. We just have to make sure we get all our rows of jute as close as possible together so we don't see any of the foam board. When we get to the first corner, you need to keep in mind 2 things. 1, the corner has to be loose enough to bend, and 2, the jute has to be close enough together so we don't see that foam board. And I found it easiest to just wrap the corners with them already bent, so you can really see what the finished product looks like as you go along. When you get to the second corner, you're going to wrap it the exact same way as the first corner with it already bent, and then continue toward the end of that 3rd piece of cardboard till you almost hit the end. When we get to the end of the 3rd piece of the foam board, we're going to close the triangle, and we're using hot glue. We're going to attach the edge of the first piece of cardboard to the edge of that last piece of cardboard. Then you're going to just continue wrapping that last corner until the entire triangle is fully covered in jute. It's a little time consuming, but it is super, super easy. Then you're going to wrap the 3-inch piece of tube with the same jute twine, starting at one end and finishing at the other. And you can simply tuck both the beginning end of that jute piece and the ending piece of jute inside of the tube. Hopefully that makes sense. And you're going to glue it down securely, since we won't be seeing the inside of the tube. Next, we're going to glue one side of the tube onto the middle of one of those Dollar Tree wood slices. Now, I apologize I didn't show it on camera, but I hot glued the other side of that tube to the bottom middle of my triangle, and then I traced the inside of the triangle onto a piece of paper to use as a template, and I placed some parchment paper over it so that my glue wouldn't stick to anything it wasn't supposed to stick to. And I use a bunch of wood snowflakes from Amazon, which I will link for you below, but they do sell similar snowflakes at Dollar Tree too. I left the snowflakes the natural wood color, and I'm using the traced triangle as a template. I placed the snowflakes into a triangle shape, and it's okay if some of the snowflakes overlap that triangle a little, because these wood pieces are really easy enough to trim off with a scissors. I use my hot glue to attach the snowflakes to each other, and since this will be the back of the snowflake, I don't need to worry so much about making a mess with too much hot glue. Then for some reason, I don't have the footage, but I lift the snowflake triangle up, I trim the ends that overlap with a scissors and carefully slide it into the middle of my cardboard triangle. It fits snugly, so no glue was needed to keep the snowflakes in the triangle. And this is DIY number 3, my snowflake pine tree. Now, the Pinterest one I saw had decorative balls inside it, but we went full on winter here and we filled it with snowflakes. Again, another rustic and neutral but super wintry DIY. It does not get any easier than DIY number 4. I'm using a glass dessert bowl, but I think it was an old Dollar Tree bowl. I'm not positive. And any glass small little bowl will do. I have a small tree branch from Dollar Tree, a small candle also from Dollar Tree, and my stash of assorted sized pine cones. I put the candle on top of the tree stump in the bowl and cover the bottom of the bowl with coarse table salt from my kitchen. You can use Epsom salt too, but I didn't have any on hand. Then I assemble some mini pine cones around that candle over the salt, and boom, we have a snowy candle holder. And this is DIY number 4, our snowy pine cone candle holder. That took what, 1 minute to do? Just imagine several of these as a table centerpiece this winter. They're natural, they're neutral, they're adorable. The salt looks like snow, and these little candle holders are just so quick and easy and charming. DIY number 5 starts with more snowflakes. I will link these below for you. I had 4 snowflakes that were painted with white chalk paint. I kept 2 of them white, and then I painted over 2 of them with this Delta acrylic paint in the color Paradise, which is a nice icy blue. Next, I have a package of this white nautical rope from Dollar Tree and 2 tall glass utility or prayer candles. I cut 2 pieces of the nautical rope and hot glued each piece around the bottom of each of the glass candles. I unbraided some of that nautical rope to get thinner pieces, and I began wrapping the individual pieces around the candles on top of the braided piece of rope. I did about 9 or 10 rows each of these unbraided rope pieces wrapped around both of my candles. Next, I'm using this metallic mica powder I got on Amazon. I will link it for you below, but you could just as easily use glitter or sparkle paint for this too. I just started using this stuff and I love it. It's so easy to use, less messy than glitter usually, and it totally reminds me of that eyeshadow we used to use in like the 80s, and I am sure I am completely dating myself here, but the eyeshadow used to come in these little pots. I think it was called Stage Light. I think. It came in all kinds of colors and I was totally obsessed with them. Let me know in the comments if anyone out there has any idea of what I'm talking about. But anyway, I'm just rubbing the metallic powder all over the blue and then the white snowflakes to give them just a little bit of a winter sparkle. I had unraveled the white nautical rope all the way down to its individual threads. So I had a bunch of these individual threads and I took 4 of them and tied each one around each of my snowflakes so that I would be able to hang them. Then I took a bunch of those individual nautical rope threads, bunched together, and wrapped them around the top of my glass candles, wrapping them a couple of times, tying them in the back. And then I took one of the blue snowflakes and one white snowflake and hung them both over those threads, hanging down by the wrapped nautical rope that was at the bottom of the candles. Lastly, I then trimmed and secured the threads in the back, and I secured them down with hot glue. And this is DIY number 5, Snowflake Charm Candles. Just a cute and simple DIY that's as quick and easy as it is winter charming. A true 5-minute DIY. Our final DIY number 6 starts with 2 different sizes of wood beads. I got these on Amazon, I'll link them below, but Dollar Tree also sporadically carries similar wood beads. I also grabbed a couple of wood snowflakes to paint as well. I put 9 of the larger beads onto a wood skewer and I painted them with some folk art white chalk paint. Then I painted the other 9 large beads with Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint in the color Nautical. Then I painted the 9 smaller beads that I had with Deco Art metallic paint in the color Shimmering Silver, all of which I will link for you below. I wasn't sure which snowflake I was using, so I painted 3 of them with the Folk Art White chalk paint. I decided to grab 9 more smaller wood beads, and I left those a natural wood color. I put together the pattern of beads I wanted to use, which was white, then silver, then blue, then natural, and I repeated that until all the beads were strung onto a piece of jute. Using this small wood ring I got on Amazon, I will link it for you below. I had painted it already with antique wax, and I took one of my white snowflakes and used small dabs of hot glue to fit it into the middle of that wood ring. Then I tied the end of the beaded jute to that wood ring. With the wood ring on the end of one side of my beaded jute, I filled the last bead on the other side with some hot glue, and I put the hot glue into the little bead hole just to help secure that bead in place. Then I literally made the world's fastest and most basic jute tassel, just making multiple loops of jute, tied them together in the middle, tied another piece of jute toward the top, leaving a little round head at the top, cut the looped jute open, and then unraveled the little pieces of jute to fluff them out. I trimmed them to be even across the bottom, and then I tied that other end of my beaded jute to the tassel so that there was a tassel on one end and a snowflake on the other. And this is DIY number 6, my snowflake and tassel beaded garland. Just another simple and quick snowflake themed DIY to help complete your winter decor look. Very neutral with a little pop of blue and very wintry. And these are all 6 of my Dollar Tree winter decor DIYs that anyone can make on a budget. Just the thing for all of us burned out on Christmas decor. Let me know in the comments which one was your favorite. I love hearing from you. And because you are still here with me, I want to take a moment to say thank you so much for being here and for watching. Your support means everything to me, and I appreciate all of you. If you've enjoyed any of these winter decor DIYs, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing. I would love to have you here. As always, thanks for watching. My name is Sarah, and I'm the Medicated Housewife, and crafting is my medication.